Hi, I wasn't planning on putting my face on this video, but this whole video today is about beating my perfectionism. My perfectionism has really been killing my creativity and the enjoyment that I have in life. And there's just so many projects I've been wanting to work on, and I've started and have put them on hold partway through because it wasn't perfect. And I don't create things to be perfect. My perfectionism tells me that that's why I create things, so they can be perfect, so they can, everybody can love them and they could be viral and all these things. But in the end, ultimately, the reason I do these things, making YouTube videos, drawing, writing stories, the reason I do it is because it helps feed my creativity and brings to life things that go on in my brain and that I think would be really cool to see coming to life. And it's just really cool to create things, you know? So today, I really wanted to challenge myself and to make this YouTube video to draw without letting my perfectionism say, like, you can't do this video without wearing makeup. My voice sounds horrible, so also not like prime filming. And I'm a little rusty with my sketching right now. But who cares? Who cares? My perfectionism tells me I can't be creative without certain things going into place. And I'm just gonna say, forget you, and draw today. I hope you enjoy my drawing and just my thoughts on kind of beating perfectionism and why it has no place in creativity. So one of the things I did to kind of beat my perfectionism during this sketching session was to not do it in my sketchbook, because I usually get really perfectionistic in my sketchbook. So I decided to get just a piece of paper, and I got some Ohuhu markers that are about the same color and a Muji pen, which I love this Muji pen so much. I will never go to another pen in my life. The subject of today's sketch session will be The Marvelous Miss Maisel. I recently got hooked on this show and loved it. I finished it, I think, in like a week and a half. I seriously binge watched this show. And it was just so good. I'm not going to really talk about the show much because I mostly want to talk about perfectionism and creativity and blah blah blah, and just kind of mentality during this session. But I just highly recommend, if you haven't seen this show, it's on Amazon Prime, and so you have that. I would recommend checking it out. It's a really fun show. Anyways, so with this session, I really wanted to make sure that I wasn't overthinking everything. With the markers, I tried to do like a rough kind of outline of what I was gonna do with my pen, but I chose to draw with my pen for these sketches so that I didn't have the opportunity to erase again and again and again and again. I wanted to really work with my mistakes, or at least accept my mistakes as part of my process and just let it be, because these were not drawings that I was gonna sell. These are not drawings that, you know, I'm gonna put on like a portfolio or anything. This is literally for my sketching session. And sketching sessions are really just for exploration, they're for practice, they're for fun. And that's really, in my opinion, what art is all about. It's about having fun. It's about, if this is what your goal is about expressing your emotions about certain stuff. It can be about portraying a certain message, but, you know, ultimately, like, it's not about winning Nobel Prizes. When do you ever win a Nobel Prize for an art piece? But it's not about getting like high awards and being put in a museum. Like, as cool as all those things sound, like, that's not the purpose of art. At least from my perspective, art is about exploration of yourself, of your abilities, of the world around you, how you're observing it, how you're experiencing life. And not everybody is like that. A lot of people create art merely for the aesthetic, and that's also acceptable. But there's really no place for perfectionism in creativity because, as much as maybe some art professors might say, there is no rule for art. Sure, there's color theory and there's composition, there's proportions and I don't know. There's some things that are tools to help us convey what we want to express on this piece of paper that we're either painting on or the canvas that we're painting on or drawing on or I don't know, whatever, splattering paint on. These are tools, not rules of how things should be done. With all the color theory that I've learned, I mean, it's very, very helpful in helping me achieve the design I want, but I've also seen art pieces that totally throw color theory out the window, and it's just so, and it's still so beautiful. Sometimes it's not my taste, but I can see what kind of message it's conveying, or maybe even what the artist was feeling at that time. Now, there have been times when I would look at something and with the technique that someone would use or the lack of technique or tools that the person would use, sometimes I would look at it and think, I don't get this. I don't understand why this is art exactly. But then I'd step back and think, this wasn't for me. This wasn't for me, and this was for the artist. Or this was for the artist and the specific people who do get it. Because there will always be somebody who gets it in addition to the artist. But ultimately, it was for the artist. There have been many times when I have created something and somebody wouldn't get it, or they would totally interpret it in a completely different way than what I intended to. And I have to be okay with that because I know what it meant to me and I know what the power it gave me was, and this person has different eyes than I do, and that's okay. That's okay. That doesn't make me not it doesn't make me less of an artist because someone didn't have the same thought process I had, and because ultimately I created this thing for me. It helped me get through this specific thing in my life that I couldn't get through, or process an event that I just didn't understand until I made this specific art piece. I have to remember that, at least for me, art is a journal. And I know we have people who do publish their journals, right? And we have Anne Frank who specifically edited her journal so it would read well. But to me, that defeats the purpose of a journal. A journal is a stream of consciousness, or you have this jumble mix of words that don't make sense in your head, and then when you get it on paper, all of a sudden it makes sense. Or maybe it doesn't make sense, and then you laugh at it and be like, okay, I didn't need to stress about this thing that was swirling around in my head. And I need to remember that a lot of times my drawings will make sense. They will look terrible, but they helped me kind of put down a stream of consciousness that I couldn't understand prior to putting it down. Another thing I have to keep in mind too is, like with this sketch page didn't really have any deep meaning other than the fact that I just really wanted to sketch again. And sketching sessions like this, where I'm just kind of drawing fun stuff, are really for me to keep up with my skills, to refine my skills and make sure I don't lose them, because when I go through periods like this where I just don't draw for a long time, I start losing some of the skills I've built up. And like I said in the beginning, I become rusty. So that's another thing that I need to keep in mind, is that my sketchbook sessions are not for perfectionism. They are also there for me to practice, and practice sometimes looks ugly, and that's okay because it's practice. And I would rather focus on the progress that I'm getting on rather than how perfect I'm making things. Because ultimately that's what really matters, is that I'm making progress. The way that I draw is definitely a lot different than when I was, I mean, a teenager for once, but even just like a couple of years ago. And I have to recognize that I've made a lot of progress. And that's another way, I guess, that a sketchbook can be like a journal, because it's recording like where I started and how far I got in just developing this art skill. One of the things I really regret is throwing away my middle school and like late elementary sketchbooks, because partly because I was trying to declutter and I thought I wasn't ever gonna do art ever again at that time that I did that. And it, to add to that, they weren't perfect. I did save the stuff from high school because I loved the way those ones looked, but you know, the other ones I didn't. And I now I don't have record of those early drawings I did, and it makes me really sad. Now, what do I learn from this whole session, this sketchbook session that I made myself sit through since I had been avoiding drawing for several weeks now, possibly even a month. I don't know. It's been a long time, for me at least. I learned that even if something isn't perfect, I can still have so much fun making it. And also, I might end up loving it. These drawings are nowhere perfect. I can see so many mistakes, but also I love them. I love them so much because they're fun, and I didn't worry about them looking good. I just focused on the fact that I just wanted to draw, and I really loved all these outfits I saw in the Marvelous Miss Maisel, and I wanted to draw them because they were cute. And honestly, and I need to work on expanding my character wardrobe, because I tend to just draw my characters in the same type of clothing. So this also was good practice for me to draw different kinds of outfits and learning how to draw those outfits. We're nearing the end of this video, and I just want to invite everybody who's watching this to, whether you're an artist, a musician, a mother, a gardener, an employee, whatever, I really invite you to not get perfectionistic in your life, because it takes all the fun out of life. Just enjoy the process, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!